Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys very much for joining the call. Today we're going to talk about ways to sell insurance without relying on just leads. Leads can be great, and there's a lot of agents that make a lot of money working leads, but only working leads long term can be tough, it can be challenging. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of give you some other ideas, some other marketing ideas, some other ideas how to get in front of other prospects. And so, to succeed at a high level and make this a long-term career option, obviously you've got to be very creative. You need to have multiple different marketing strategies going on at one time. And so today we're going to go over some creative, simple ways to market your products and services to prospective clients other than just buying leads. Now, when we have this call, I don't want anyone to turn their leads off or to stop buying leads, because leads is a great way to kickstart you and to keep you in front of qualified individuals. And so you should always be working leads, until you've been in the business for several years and you have a huge client base and a huge referral base, a huge networking group. And so today we're going to go over some ideas. Again, it was ways to sell insurance without relying on just leads. I've got a couple dozen ideas here probably, so I'll have you write them down as we go. And I'm going to kind of touch on the ideas that I've done in the past, and I'm going to touch on those first. The first thing that I did when I first started, and what most people do, is their warm market. And so you're developing what they call a Project 200, or I read a book one time that said if you don't have 500 people, if you can't write down the name and numbers of 500 people, then you're not serious about being successful. So I thought, wow, that's pretty serious. And so I work on warm market, and so all my warm market's back from Arkansas. So I went back to Arkansas and stayed there for a week and wrote, a couple dozen applications probably back then. And so I just pretty much just called them all and said, hey, I'm coming into town. We're going to sit down while I'm there. And, if they know you, they care about you, they love you, you're just going to just get your way in front of them at all costs, because they know you. Obviously, they care about you. And so that's always one way, is to just get in front of the people that know you and that care about you and that you care about them. And so you're just, even kind of a non-threatening, easy way is, hey, I just want to shop your life insurance. I'm going to stop by and give you a free quote.
It's not a Kirby.
Yeah, exactly. We're not selling you a vacuum or dumping stuff on your carpet, anything like that. We just want to give you a quote. We're your friend. We want to see if we can save you money. So I started out with warm market. I've also done, I don't know if anyone's done like the vendors or the trade shows where you set up a booth. I did one of those at a couple different law conferences, and I've written some business off that. A couple of my bigger policies came from that. Those you have to spend some money, you have to be patient, but they can pay off because you can give away a TV and have a drawing for a free TV and get a couple hundred leads in a weekend. And so that's all. That's a good way to get to know some affluent business people. Obviously, it's slow moving and you got to be patient, but that's always a good idea. So I've done that. I've also sponsored a swim team in the past. It was a local country club swim team. The country club that I belonged to, I sponsored their swim team, and it worked out pretty well. It wasn't something I love doing. I'm not just a social butterfly by any means. Certain agents are, and they do really well in that atmosphere. But still wrote some business. You have to put forth a lot of time because you got to become the face for what you're talking about. So you have to show up to practices. You have to show up to swim meets. You have to show up to banquets. You have to show up to award ceremonies. You have to travel to other swim meets, within a certain radius. And so it's a little tougher. You got to be a little more patient. You got to put some money up to sponsor the whole team for the year. But it can be profitable for someone that knows how to work it and for the right type of individual. So that's something I've done. I've also done a lot of door knocking. You're not having to pay for those leads. You're just going to door knocking. But I've found that in my area here, there's hundreds of senior housing facilities in small cities around Springfield, and I've had a lot of success. Actually wrote 6 final expense applications in one day by door knocking a senior housing place that had 108 units. And so that's a great way to get in front of the type of prospect you're looking for, that final expense type prospect. And so that's and when I door knock, hey, my name's Cody. I help people cover their burial and final expenses. Can I come in for 2 quick seconds? The key of that is to be really short and sweet, be excited, be bubbly, let your personality out, but try to get in the door. You might only get in the door of every 5 to 10%, but you'll sell another third to fourth to fifth of those. And so the key with those is just getting in the home. But I've made a lot of sales and it's a lot of fun, door knocking. So that's something I've done in the past. I've also done some college call nights. I think I've told everyone this, where I would bring over a group of college kids, typically 4 or 5 college kids from a local university, back when I was in college, and I would bring them over. I would give them a script, I'd give them telephones, I'd give them a little cubicle, and I would give them a list of names to call. Generally people between the ages of 55 and 75 with less than 30 or 40,000 of income within a certain radius of where I live or where my office was. And so I did that for a while. Had great success. I would always give away some gift cards, some cash, buy them all pizza. Some of them would make $100 in 3 hours, and for a college kid, they're like, they're just freaking out. That's amazing. And so I would walk away with anywhere from 8 to 20 appointments in about a 3-hour stretch. And I just shell out a couple $100, but to get that many set appointments, it's phenomenal. Now, they weren't professional telemarketers or salespeople, so some people forgot, or some of them canceled, or I would be calling on a Monday night and they would end up setting one for a Thursday. So they would cancel or forget or just not be there and be a no-show. But it was still a really good way to fill my week with some activity, and so I always enjoyed that. Those were the kind of the 5 things that I've done outside of buying leads. And also, obviously, I've had, outside of just the call night, I've had some telemarketers where I've got a couple telemarketers now. I got another one starting today that's just going to sit there and transfer me calls all day and certain hours of the week. So that's something else you can do, is obviously hire telemarketers. A few things that I have done a little bit but never done real well that a lot of people do, here's some other ideas, is like a networking group. Obviously, my father he's actually started his own networking group, and he's got, 15 or 20 people that show up to that now on a weekly basis, and he writes a lot of business and he gets a lot of referrals from that. Dallas, in our office, he started his own networking group. I think he's only had a couple of meetings. I don't know if he's got any actually referrals from it yet, but you've got to be, with those networking groups, and you've got to be willing to give referrals, and you've got to be patient. You've got to take those people to lunch. Ask the right questions. Learn what they do, what they want to do, what their perfect referral is, who they're looking for. And once you get to know people, you spend some time with them, you start to send them referrals, then they will start to reciprocate. So as long as you're patient and you work it the right way, you can definitely write some business from networking groups. There's also networking type events. Where a city will do a big barbecue for the chamber or something like that. There's a lot of networking events you can go to. I've never been the social type that loves those types of deals, but some people are perfect for them. They really are. One thing that we don't mention enough, and we're not having to buy leads, is referrals. From the people we sell, we should always get at least one referral, a name and number of someone they know. And y'all know the way I do that, my referral technique, and it's a little more specific and less broad, is, thank you for your business. Thanks for allowing us to your home. When I ask you this, one person's probably going to come to mind. They generally do. Who is the one person that pops in your head that you say, that you know that may be able to use my service as well? Who just popped in your head? And generally, at least one person does. Probably all of us had one person to pop into our head as well. And so that's kind of a unique way a unique, specific, targeted way to ask for referrals. But you always get at least one name that way. And something that Miss Vicky had brought up a while back is, you know what? Was that the only name that popped up in your head, or did more names pop up in your head as well? And so they could add 2 or 3 names. You can get those as well. So asking for referrals is a big way. That's the easiest way because you already got the client. We want more people like them, so people they know in their warm market could be perfect for us. Also, you can work your current clients, where you can track and monitor using a CRM your existing client base. You can let them know when you add a new product by e-marketing or mail marketing. You can also track when they're turning 65 or when they're retiring, turning 65 for Medicare, retiring for, Medicare and money, obviously, their savings and investments. When they have a kid or a baby, a grandkid, obviously for life insurance purposes. When they buy a new house, when they go into debt more, And so if you're tracking and monitoring and working your existing client base, you can find some neat ways to just get back in front of the people that already know you and that have already bought from you. And I've always been told, if they buy from you once, they'll buy from you again. So you want to keep in contact with those people. Something I used to do really well. Unfortunately, I've got away from it through the years, but I used to get a lot of referrals because I did a monthly news card, is what I called it. And it was just a big postcard front and back that I had a creative designer put together for me, and I actually had a mail house mail it out, so I never had to do anything. And I mailed it out to every single one of my clients every single month. Now, eventually, when I had 300, 400, 500 clients, it got pretty expensive to do. So you could do it quarterly, you could do them semi-annually, but monthly I was staying in front of a lot of people, and I was actually getting some referrals from it. So I really do think it worked. You can also do mailings. You can do turning 65 mailings. You can do final expense mailings, all these senior housings. There's all sorts of different types of, you can do mortgage protection mailings to everyone. You can do mortgage protection mailings to someone that buys a house. There's all kind of mailings you can do if you wanted to go that route. You could also do seminars. A lot of people do Social Security seminars or Medicare seminars, and you can actually have. There's companies that will set up the seminars and mail out the invites and track the RSVPs and do everything for you. Kind of a turnkey system, but you got to have a lot of money to do seminars. You could also partner with some real estate agents, or like a real estate agent, a PNC agent, a mortgage broker, a financial advisor. That's always a good idea, is to partner with some people where you can refer them some business, they can refer you some business. And so something like that's always a good idea. That's something I've actually not done. You can join the chamber and network that way and get to know everyone in the chamber and show up. There's some insurance agents I know that they show up at every new business ribbon cutting. They're at every event, every luncheon, every barbecue, every meeting, every monthly meeting. I mean, there's some people that just really work those well. You can also work. You can also build a. You can build a website. You can have someone build you a website, and start doing some local SEO to generate some leads to your website. That's something I haven't done, but something that I know a lot of agents are doing. And there's a couple agents I know that write a couple hundred Medicare apps a year through their website. I don't know how they do it, but I know that there's some people that do that very successfully. You can also use social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I don't use Instagram or Pinterest, but maybe you would. YouTube. I mean, there's some ways to become the expert in a certain space and market you as such to your friends and your family and people you went to college with, people you go to church with, previous people you worked with, and so you can kind of market yourself as the insurance guy, and in hopes that when a need comes up, you'll be the person that they come to. Now, you don't want to, if you work social media, you don't want to just put stuff about insurance all day long. I've been told there's a certain, I don't know what the percentage is. I've been told, I think it's like 10 to 30 or something like that. But I think it may even be less. But there's a certain percentage of your efforts on social media that needs to, whether it's actually posts and pictures and videos, stuff like that, that needs to be about your business. And even more, a bigger percentage needs to be not about your business. That's just a way to get people to kind of see you. So you're not just always blowing them up about trying to sell them something, because eventually they're just going to ignore you, and just kind of skim over you, which is something I do with certain people, I have to admit. Is there any ideas that you guys have that I haven't mentioned that are some creative ideas for ways to get in front of people and to sell insurance without actually having to buy leads or relying on leads?
You already mentioned it, but just in better detail. There was a guy when I was a kid that used to go to gun shows, and actually he did life insurance quotes at gun shows. And I remember when I was a kid, he was always busy. I always thought that was funny because people were talking about life insurance at a gun show.
Huh.
But I haven't seen him in a long time. He was an old man. He must have passed away, but I haven't seen anyone doing that. And I mean, it's just one of those things. It's different. People see you, and I imagine you get a lot of leads from a gun show.
Absolutely.
It's like $50 to set up the table.
Wow. That's a great idea. It really is. Yeah.
See what kind of thing for him.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea. Just, you know what? We know what it comes down to? It comes down to thinking creatively and thinking outside the box. If you can think outside the box and do things that other people aren't willing to do, you can be successful. Find the things that you like. Find 3 or 4 things that you enjoy and that you like to do, and consistently put forth some activity towards those every single week, and it'll work, and you'll be successful. I mean, there's some people that there's some guys that make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the insurance business and never purchase a lead, and they do these other things, or they do some creative things that they've come up with that they like to do. It's a great thought, Matt. Anybody else that's got something that they've seen or they've done that's worked that they'd like for everyone to know about? Lowell, Tom, Matt, Ted, Jason, Jeff, Frank, Dennis, Vicky, Tim, anybody?
Thank you, Nate. You've probably covered the list pretty good.
I spent the weekend thinking about this and wrote down every idea I could possibly think of. I just put it in my phone and then put it on paper this morning.
What 5 ways
I'm going to talk to the existing law clients that I've got, and also in regards to families, not just selling them, but I'm also going to remind them that I sell, and if they know anyone, of course, that could use those services,
Absolutely.
Your family knows, they're there for their friends. It's weird for me because they know me as a certain profession. Now I'm saying I'm doing something else in addition to that, so it's like a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah, you could...
Cody,
is that Frank?
Cody, Frank with an idea. I'm trying to think of, even though I'm currently locked in with Medicare with this other group that I'm going to be dismissing myself from the group.
Right.
But I thought about Medicare because I still, in the back of my mind, I think Medicare seems to be a real interesting way to do it. And I was reading online yesterday what you cannot do with Medicare. You cannot solicit Medicare-related products, but I'm not so sure how that works exactly.
It's certain types of products.
What if you approach them from the life insurance? What if you door knock for life insurance and you had that you did Medicare on your card? You wouldn't. But is that in the same vein? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. There's
no life insurance, but if you've got Medicare on your card, does that qualify for the prohibition on doing that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the way Medicare works is you can talk to them about Medicare supplements all day. You can even talk to them about Medicare Advantage plans, but you can't like cold call or door knock for actual Medicare Advantage plans. You could cold call or door knock, assuming that you were talking to them wanting to talk to them about a Medicare supplement, assuming that they had a Medicare supplement, and then once you got there, you could set a time to come back, or you could get an AHIP signed.
If they bring it up.
Or the scope signed, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they bring it up, I was planning on talking about Medicare supplement, but they actually brought up that they wanted to hear more about their Humana that they already have. And
It's
so,
from my understanding, the way those companies get around it is the appointment is presented as an exploration of Medicare options.
yeah.
They will talk to you about Medicare, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, what options you have. That's it.
Yeah, and that's not specific to Medicare Advantage whatsoever.
It's-
Even when you're door knocking like that, Frank, you can. I did a lot. I've led with life insurance or final expenses, and I got in there, find out that they had a Medicare plan, and like a Medicare supplement plan, and shopped it and saved the money and got both sets of business and both applications while I was there. So you can certainly do that without a doubt. That's a great point.
Okay, I'll talk to you more about that, but I'm real interested in doing that. But
Good.
Yeah, that's good, Cody. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
question.
Yeah.
Of course I'm new. But does anybody use advertising like billboard or radio? Does it worth the money?
Well,
I've never been there.
there's
I'm not that smart.
certain people. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't have any experience, but I know there's certain people that do. We've even considered putting up a big billboard up during Medicare season. I have actually, I lied. I did do some radio advertising in the past. It wasn't really radio advertising. They did like this 30-minute business on the spot, and I had to pay like $800 for 8 weeks, and I would go in once a week and sit on the radio for 30 minutes and talk about. They would ask me questions. I talk about my business. I think it was probably boring, and probably people didn't care, but I never got a call. If you do it the right way, I was only 20 back when I did that, so I didn't really know what I was doing on the radio. But if you do radio the right way, or billboard ads the right way, or newspaper ads or magazine ads, if you do them the right way and you kind of have a target, and you don't do them just a broad way, and you have an actual target, an actual agenda, and they look really professional, and you're doing it to the right audience, then it could work. Certain people do them and they do work. I'm not the person to talk to about how to do those, but I know that they can work, without a doubt.
I think that's one of those items that takes a long time to build up.
That's right.
It's that they got to see it constantly, and all of a sudden it's,
Brandon.
oh yeah, I need insurance. Oh yeah, I saw that billboard. I've been go by it every day, and
You're right. Exactly. The radio lady told me, you got to do this for 6 months to actually start to see some type of branding results. And back then I didn't have the money, and I wasn't patient enough to actually sit around and wait for 6 months and just fund money. But it was fun. But you're right though. You do have to do those things. You have to be much more patient, and you have to feed those with money, because they can return. You can get a return on investment, but it's a much longer result. So you're right. Great question, Dennis.
Hey, Cody, as a Frank with an input here, I think you're better, because I come from a different profession as well as Jason. TV is probably a better venue. It's a better reach, because I don't know that people listen to the radio the way they used to. And if you're going to do radio, probably find talk radio.
Yeah.
That's what the old people are listening to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not listening to the top 40. So
No.
I think it's you're better off spent with television.
That's not a bad idea.
Everybody watches TV.
Get on TV later.
You get into some serious money, but I know it works for people, or they wouldn't be doing it. Yeah. Obviously.
I think
And
the TV's a much better gamble than radio.
yeah, probably.
Just
so.
from
I
my
don't know.
experience, we had TV commercials, we had radio spots, we had newspapers, we had billboards, we did everything, but our focus was branding, and there's a huge difference between branding and generating sales and generating leads. And The ROI, there's almost no ROI on any sort that we ever made on radio, TV, billboards. It just honestly, we made the majority of our money with events, door knocking, and referrals. That's where most of our money came from. And funny enough, those are also the cheapest ways to make it. But they're also more.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I know you can waste a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. I know people that have spent a small fortune.
We were about
more than most people make on
$65
on advertising. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
And you're right. We don't. A lot of people don't listen to radio anymore. I know none of us listen to radio because we're listening to self-improvement audiobooks and improving our sales and listening to the art of closing the sale. And so obviously none of us actually listen to radio or music because we are professionals and we want to get better and master the art of our craft. Am I right?
That's true. Yeah. I love audio.
Okay.
Praise the man.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or tips?
3 to 5 ways you like the best.
My 3 to 5 ways would be outside of leads, would be warm, especially for a new agent, would be warm market, door knocking, telemarketers, and referrals and clients. Those are most agents don't want to put a lot of money forth and really aren't patient enough to see those results come to pass. Several of these are, more long-term options, but I would go ahead and start adding a couple more things to try to get in front of a couple more prospects a week. But those are kind of the ones that fit my personality best. I did do turning 65 mailers where I would do the huge, massive 9x12 envelopes, and I'd stuff them with candy and Medicare stuff, and I had a theme around the mailer. It was about Smarties, and I said something about be a Smartie, join the party, and whatever I was pitching Medicare wise was, and those actually worked pretty well. I would send out. I had a mail house that did it for me, but I would send out probably a couple thousand pieces a month, and I would generally get a call from 1 to 2% of them, probably, so 20 to 40, and it wasn't. Actually, I enjoyed it, and it kind of started to work, and now I even started to brand it as I would do the mailing, but I was also go drop off goodie bags at their door with the same theme. Big yellow, Smarties inside. And so I kind of themed it around what I did. And that was it took me a couple of years maybe even 2 or 3 years to actually get creative enough to start thinking about doing something like that. But it worked. I was getting where I was writing, and I didn't do any e-apps or any over the phone sales at all. Obviously, I wish I would have now. But I got to where I was selling 20, 25 Medicare apps a month doing it that way. Obviously, I was cross-selling, using my money bag presentation to also sell life insurance, long-term care, and annuities. But that was something that I did that I actually enjoyed doing, was mailing about Medicare. And the ones that I could follow up with a phone call, I did. So just thinking outside the box. Come up with things what you need to come up with is the products that you want to sell, and then find creative ways to get in front of those type of people. And you got to determine what your target market is, the age of the target market, whether you want to talk to male or female or you don't care, the income of that target market, the specific areas. A lot of people don't want to target just Springfield because there's thousands of insurance agents in Springfield. You want to target those rural areas outside of where a lot of agents are. A lot of people don't want to go down to McDonald County, 2 hours from an hour and 40 to 2 hours from here, and there's not a lot of agents down there. But every time I go down there, I write some business, so I love it. It's a little farther out, but the farther out, the better. Before we finish this call, we're at about 30 minutes. Before we finish this call, any other thoughts or any other questions anybody else would like to add?
Just on the referrals, what we used to do, you know, and with your process, nothing's wrong with that, but try to ask for more referrals, because a lot of times referrals are kind of like getting a sell with people. If you dig, they'll give it to you. If you don't, they won't. For casual or for just ease of mind, I guess. So we had a sheet with 50 spots, and we pulled out and we'd say, oh man, yeah, you know, if we can get 50 people, of course you're that popular, I'm sure, and we kind of laugh and we'd have to go ahead and get out their phone or whatever and say, well, we'll show you how to fill this out. So, for example, you mentioned you have a son. What's his name again? Luke. Okay, Luke. And what's his phone number? And you go and write down for him, and you go through the process on the first one. You say, okay, since you have your phone out, can you go ahead and fill out these 49? Or at the very minimum, if you could do 30, then the way the math works is 2 of your friends are looking for life insurance statistically, or, you know, the weird thing, but whatever. So, you know, when I make those calls, I'll just do a quick introduction. Of course, I'm brutally handsome, so you know they're going to like me. And if they are looking for it, then it helps me out, and I'm not going to bug them. I'm not going to put them on a call list. And that's all we did.
Like it? Yeah, that's a nice creative way of getting multiple referrals and getting multiple names while you're in a home. And we can ask, even if a lot of times we talk to our clients every couple months, or we do an annual review every year. Ask for referrals every time you talk to them.
And they always give you 10 on the dot.
Just constantly.
Because they'll go to 10 and they'll stop. Because you've said 30 or 40.
Yeah.
It's funny, because no one has exactly 10 friends. So
That's
you know
funny.
they're just stopping.
That's funny. That's a good thought, Matt. Any other thoughts, ideas, tidbits? Okay. Well, if you do, we'll talk about it. We'll bring it. Make sure you write it down and bring it up in our one-on-ones. We'll go ahead and end the call. But I wanted to thank you guys very, very, very much for joining the call. Looking forward to a fantastic week. We're going to have multiple agents over $3,000 of commissions this week. It's been leaning in that way, and we've had multiple agents putting up $2,000-3,000. This week is going to be a monster, phenomenal week. I hope you have a phenomenal week. Call me and text me if you need me. And thank you guys for joining the call. Have a great week. See you guys.